nacheki kuna hii book kuna launch on Saturday si ndio? Inaitwa
50 Memos to Men Volume 2.
Yeah, alafu nilifindikiwa very interesting sana. It's like 7 times a man finds himself: job loss, divorce, death of a loved one, lifestyle disease, when your wife insults you, and learning that your spouse is cheating. I think tulikuwa tumebonga juu ya job loss hapo before si ndio? Divorce. Kwanza nini hata kabla to go into the nitty-gritties, how much is the book, how can people get it?
The book is 1,400 shillings at Nure Bookstore. Nure Bookstore iko pale Bazaar 11th floor room 1105. Pia kuna book launch huku Ronald Ngala, run by a very good lady friend of mine called Kemto. Iko huku Ronald Ngala, but they can always reach out to me on social media. I can guide them. So
vile nimesema anaitwa Silas Nyanchwani, hawezi kosa kumwona. Alafu pia yuko na books zingine before this So kuna Man About Town. Hii Man About Town kienda watch Kingori talked about this. And of course there is Sexocized alafu 50 Memos to Men. Hii ni volume 1. So this other one is volume 2.
Volume 2.
Okay. So wacha tu bonge juu ya books, alafu pia nataka tu bonge juu ya a certain article that came out that made people najua because talking about books, Kenya reading culture, is it there? Is it necessary?
Iko Kenyans are reading. And that's why like in the last 5 years there's so many Kenyans who are publishing books. They're not those publishing those books like what wanasoma, that's why they're publishing. They're not publishing them for nothing. So there's a very strong and vibrant reading culture. It can be more because there's something my friend Alex Nderutu told me, that we just need 1% of Kenyans to read. 1% is like about 500,000 to 1,000,000 people. Just reading and consuming Kenyan art, and Kenya will go very far. So right now I think the numbers are far less, but the people are reading. That's why kuna hizo mabook nini ziko tao, hizo stall manini, watu wanauza vitabu, book vendors. There are so many books that have come up in recent times. So I believe there's a good reading culture, but it's something that we need to rediscover. And
alafu ulienda University of Nairobi?
Nilikuwa UN for my undergrad. Nilidunga BA na literature na communication. Alafu nikaenda Columbia University in New York. Nikafanya masters yangu ya journalism huko. Okay. So nakumbuka tukiwa campus sisi, there used to be that like sort of condescending tone when people talked about arts, like Bachelor of Arts, msofanyaga BA. Was there a difference in like at Columbia University? No, hakukuwa na difference because there's a big difference because we treat the arts as the enemy, but it's the arts that drive society. America foreign policy yao choro na Hollywood. Ni kitu moja watu wajuangi. Like Hollywood, kama like American government wants to set a certain agenda in the future, inaanzanga na kutoka movie leo nini. That's one of the agenda mingi ziko saizi. Ni tu movie tu zimekuwa zikitolewa from the 2000s, kidogo tunaona vitu fulani sasa zimekuwa mainstreamed. So art is extremely very powerful. Imagine the amount of money that can be made if, for example, Waluya waachiliwe mazo wacheze ball, wacheze rugby yao, wafanye music yao. You can imagine the amount of talent that is just in low music, for example. Those Benga artists bana watu nakujanga kuiva kitengela mazo na ijaza hivi and we are just operating at like almost 1%. So arts ni kitu, and I see even our president is very anti-arts, anachinanga STEM. A society moves forward when they embrace, like unajua art is about our humanity. That's why when you're bored you listen to music, ama you read, ama you listen to a speech. You want to be entertained, So hata sisi tukiwa kampu hiyo puzi ilikuwa like arts si kitu kwa nini. But that's an extremely horrible way to look at things. And that's why you can have a minister mwenye amesoma but still talking about foreskins. It's because unajua when you embrace arts, it means you have embraced your humanity. And you can appreciate cultural differences. Kwa kuna vitu naeza ndio kusentokenya mazizi kubo. But your culture enough know that's the style. kuna vitu unawezaenda like unawezaenda place kama UG mazee niliendanga nikapata ama Malai unapata mtu anakula panya you're like of course kuna hiyo revolting utakuwa you'll be revolted but utagundua na yeye pia anaweza kuja Kenya ni kama msali patanga sisi ukula ndizi ripe banana na ugali like how can you do that and to us like it's normal so
ni ukula hivyo
kuna like kuna hiyo kula ndizi growing up like it was just normal upate tu msana kula tu avocado na ugali and it's just normalized but unaona like kama ujui kitu kama hiyo utashtuka but when you are cultured when you've learned you'll appreciate other cultures more and you'll see like we are all a product of our environment and penye ulizaliwa mazee you never chose to be born where you are born unaona you're either born into at even the religions that we embrace you probably go to the church you are born into and not many of us are able to grow back or say like and let me now undo this so basically that's the beauty of arts
alafu I feel like Kenya started appreciating art more during COVID because COVID forced you to consume art najua ilikuwa like now we realized how important art is because you had nowhere to go movement was minimal at night aungeenda kunini so you had to stay at home and ilienda up create like a bunch of art millionaires
you saw there was so much creativity YouTube will blossom mapodcast kama hizi zenu zikashika kulikuwa ma DJs wan entertain watu like there was so much that was happening in that space and people now understood like we only fill the voids in our life through art
alafu nini of course vile umesema hii kitabu ni mpya so we can't talk about everything that's on it but sa kwa hizi 7 times a man meets himself I just want us to talk about one thing when your wife insults you why does a man meet himself when the wife insults him and vile umesikia kitabu iko available now the launch is on Saturday but it's available so
and I chose that to be like the theme for this new book anytime there's a new book like hii ya kwanza nilikuwa naongelea about the need for men to father themselves because wengi wetu tukua na mabuda so wakati tukua na buda mazee lazima tu mtu you father yourself so I was talking about like the 7 times like kitu moja tufanyikia wanaume like between in every decade of your life in your 20s in your 30s in your 40s a very big milestone will happen in your life. You lose either a parent, you'll become sick, a child, a spouse, a divorce. No. Na wase wengi they are never ready for the big, for lack of a better word, like for the big shit that comes your way. Unaona? Najua kitu kama divorce mazee, you're never mentally prepared for that. Uko hapo na wife yako, mnacheza na watoi, then siku moja wife ameboeka, anataka kutoka. So mazee unashtuka, so unapata men want to commit suicide, ama msitu amejiachilia na kunywa pombe vibaya, nini. So just talking about like there are certain things that will happen in your life. Umekuwa na job poa ukalose, so you can't even afford rent, maybe mwakushani yazo wamekuja, at that moment mazee uko solo mazee like akuntu anakuja kuokolea kuna time mazee wife atakutusi like most men in the course of their lives kuna time to their woman will tell them you ain't shit man remember you are not man enough na kuna kimbao kwa mwanaume kama mazee kuambiwa that you are not a man unaona sometimes it's justified maybe ulikuwa kwa mzembe kidogo so anakushtua kidogo unajua women they communicate verbally like unajua sisi tuko physical but their violence is verbally and psychic so kuna time tu yako tu atakutusi ama she'll cheat on you and the day I was thinking about this like these things are bound to happen so ikifanikiwa usishtuke ama ujue ama uwe mtu unajua this man who kill their wives banama
inakuwa like the most to use the new Kenyan word it's the most lambistic thing you can ever do
but you see the reason they do that is that they are not prepared to meet themselves because mazi wife anaweza kuprovoke mazemba kubebata kisu but now we are training these people to know beforehand that if such a thing happens chill tu mazee enda tu hapo kwa bar kunywa yako moja mbili rudi tu mtaani and things will be okay and you can learn from that you can change ama you can perish
there's something very interesting umesema about now the first book so the first book ilikuwa pia 50 memos to men alafu ilikuwa na hii the subject was be your own father and you've just said something very interesting that most of us did not have fathers what do you mean by that
if you're a millennial and for example we come from Western Kenya I mean Kisii, Luo and Luya chances are that 30% like of the we lost almost 30% of the people to HIV
in
the 90s, in the late 80s and 90s, and even the 2000s. And growing up without a father has a very big impact on your life. And I felt like also we had what I normally call like weak fathers. Your father is there, but si mtu mwenye amechangamuka, you know. When you have like a strong man in your family and like ni mtu umejipanga, akona purpose, he's taking care of you, you'll most likely turn up as a very confident person. You have like a map, like, because what fathers do to children is that they provide, the mothers bring love, so the kids wanna grow kama wako soft and vizuri. Now the father tells you that this is the true north. So what happens that if either your father was weak, was either absent, unajua pia kuna wale mabudu alibaki Nairobi, nyitu mko mna madhe. So then for men, especially when you didn't have a father, it can really mess your head. Because hizi challenge unapatanga watu wako nazo na wajui kudeal nazo, they would have been solved if you grew up with your father, because men are, sisi ni watu wa solutions. So you'll remember, oh, my father would do this, my father would do this. So if you didn't have a father, then now you have to think, how do I father myself? What can I do? If I had a father, what kind of father would I wanted to be? So then you be that father to yourself first, and now to your wife, and then to your children. So that's my argument.
And of course, I think I've also mentioned this thing of most of us also had fathers, but not, maybe the word to use is dads. By this I mean that the interaction of most people was when the father showed up, they'd scatter like cockroaches. So a lot of fathers never spent their times with their kids.
That's true. And most people, I saw like one of the episodes niliwatching nile yako na Baby Mapesa, and the kind of father that he had. And there are those fathers, like, you know, being a parent bana, like anybody can, you can sleep with a woman and get children. But the art of being a parent, to be patient with your kid, to show them the right way, to guide them, si watu wengi wako niyo gift. And lately sasa hata kinani affect zaidi, increasing now we have even women who can't be good mothers. You know, in the past, at least, if you had a bad father, your mother will step up and step in. So says now, like, increasingly we're having women who have become like pretty much like our fathers. Hawapendi watoi, hawana that maternal connection, you know. Like I'm seeing that, like
the trend. Like
you meet women and when having a discussion, the way they're talking about their kid, ama nini, they look at motherhood as an inconvenience. They would have loved maybe to do better in their career, ama waslay. And it'll be interesting to see how those kids will turn up maybe in another 20 years. Because for our fathers, we can see the effects now. So unaona like tunakuwa divorced, ama hizi, most of us, like, ukifuatilia, like, there's always something that happens when there's no father, ama a father, a father figure in your life. It doesn't have to be like the biological father. As long as you have a father figure in your life, either your grandfather or your uncle, ndio wanakupanga hiyo mapya maisha, like vitu zinafaa kufanywa hivi.
Okay. Because that vile umesema pia, I think another thing that maybe might make a few marriages break right now ni if msali grow up around budake na budake alikuwa na smack madhake. Remember what you said about options? Like that woman most probably didn't have options. The woman that has options will also not take physical abuse. They won't stick
unless akona some emotional problems. But most women wakiona hujajipanga, hujitoa tu nowadays. She rather go suffer alone there if you're not providing that nature. But you see, these things are, if you don't know them, it's something that you can learn. Unaona? Unajua kama watoi, for example, mazi unajua utoka hapo nje tutembe na mtoi yako hadi huku chini na urudi mazi. Hiyo ni kubond moja mpoa sana. Mtoi akiwa tu kwa nyumba akikosa anamwambia that's wrong, you know, like yani that art of unajua sisi tuko na trauma. So that art of like trauma yako unakanyagia chini, sasa unasema I want to live a happy life, I want to raise a healthy child. Cause mtu tu anataka tu akue tu happy. Of course kuna vitu atapaswa kidogo, you correct them as they grow. So when you befriend your children maze, hiyo kitu maze unakuwa ngumu wa empower vibaya sana. So hasa watu unapatanga tu na misbehave tu wako na ufala tu hapa nje tu nasikia tu kuwagonga, niyo like they didn't have someone to keep them in check when they were when they were children. So you grow up with that trauma, you don't have those checks and balances. Because a good parent ni kufunza tu watu to know what's right from what's wrong. To keep good company and to also have a purpose in life, you know. And to know that when you fuck up, you unfuck. You don't. I saw some very funny word on social media jana at dictim. That a dictim is when we tu ndo umefanya tu fala zako, you are being a dick, but now you want to act like a victim. Something like that.
Okay. Alafu kwanza nini, talking of creative writing, unajua, because being an author, it's such like an interesting profession, because everyone can be everything, especially when it comes to art. But being authors, this is something that I feel like it's a career that's respected. Like anyone can wake up like, hey, Buddha, mi niko na talanta, wacha nianze kurap. Mi na talanta, wacha nifanye comedy. Mi na talanta, wacha nianze kuimba. But mi na talanta, wacha nianze kuandika kitabu. I feel like there's a certain level of respect that comes with being an author. Sindio?
Yeah, there's some respect and some prestige that comes with it.
Yeah. Easy seeds, if I'm not wrong, they're supposed to be planted at the composition insha stage.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you think when tunaandika compo na insha in school, we are told that this is what we're trying to look for in the future, if you could be the next?
Yeah, that boils down to the kind of teacher that you had.
Yeah.
I remember in primary school I had a very good teacher, Mr. Oganda. I don't know where he is nowadays. In high school I had a very good teacher, Mr. Nyasani, Mr. Moyo, I think. Those were very good teachers. So it depends with the teachers that you have, and it will be a bigger blessing if you have teachers who are creative. Unajua kuna wale watu wako very strict, like things have to be done in such a way. The art of writing is actually is learning to express yourself freely in an uncaring way so that you can communicate.
Yeah.
See, our system ya Kenya, because of the British and Christianity, it's extremely very rigid. Like kuna kitabu moja mi upenda sana inaitwa Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger.
Yeah.
Is a book about a rebellious teen. Azi kitabu kama hiyo ni kitabu watu wa high school mazu ukisoma mazina za kubamba sana. But mazi kitabu America wanaisomanga by the way kwa senior school.
Yeah.
Kwa high school rather, whatever they call them. But kitabu kama mazi kuja hapa Kenya mazu utasikia tu chachi imesema juu kitabu ni mbaya. Utasula like, you know that now in over that creative thinking. And part of the problem we have with our government, even the current one, I told you in America, Hollywood ndio inaandikanga foreign policy yao.
Yeah. Sets the agenda. When you're a creative thinker, every solution utakuwa like every problem uko nayo, you can find a creative solution. Yeah.
But our education system is so rigid in a certain way, like kutasoma hivi kutoka hapo. Like right now mazee, my niece scored an A bana, anataka kufanya medicine. Someone who scores an A should get whatever they want because those are the brains that can help solve the problem. Basa just ile job ya squeezy mazimi mrusha sijui university gani ile afanye ende kufanya nini, and that's all. Unapata like in Africa the most talented, the most intelligent, they never get to serve at their full potential.
Yeah.
With the lack, for example, unapata that's unaona wanaibanga zile the best brains from Africa wanazichukua, and when they go there utapata kuna wakenya wanafanya kazi huku NASA, wanafanya kazi like in those big companies huku ma Wall Street nini, but see when they are there they're just serving the empires, and they are serving at a very low rank when they can serve their country at the top. So inakuanga like the most unfortunate thing about Africa. Your brain drain mazeni noma.
Yeah. I love your predictability because back in the days it made sense. I always give stories based on my father. I always tell people my father died in 1996. That means my father never used the internet. My father never used a mobile phone. My father did not know that he could make money while in the house. That was his world. So in my father's world, medicine was the profession.
Yeah.
You know, because kulikuwa na guarantee yani guaranteed jobs, sindio? Now comes to 2023 where I think niliwatch Dr. Rain majuzi, and Dr. Rain was saying there are like very many unemployed doctors in Kenya.
Yeah.
That means the profession is not what it used to be. But now, this space that we live in right now, we can see how much sports and arts are doing.
Yeah.
Why would you still feel like A, if someone has an A they have to do the basic inakwaga 3 things doctor lawyer engineer doctor lawyer engineer doctor lawyer mpaka mi ujuaga nikimit mtoi bright najuaga like so what do you want to be a neurosurgeon what do you want to be a pediatrician and then you go to Kenyatta someone is bleeding out this guy never wanted to do medicine he does not feel it's like he needs to save that life why because he's not been paid ama he's not been
paid he's not even motivated but the thing is also like the best brains like the way our education is set up that's why people's children make those predictable because high school mazi was being really like you have to be a teacher you have to be what you know like I remember maybe like my guardians wanted me to be a teacher and I'll understand why they wanted me to be a teacher I had to go against their will me tu nikichagua kampuni nikanga tu UNBA tuzo all the 7 or 8 slots iliandika tu UNBA like wala watu ajabu they didn't have a choice
to give you
place me what I wanted because I had to come and study literature and you know so hata sisi nimeona like we're trying to rework our education system but maze wale mabuda wako kujuzu wale maprofessor maze wanakuanga rigid yani kwa kufikiria because kama sisi ma university hazina do so I was telling someone like for example mimi nimekuwa nikidila mambo ya relationships maybe I would want to go and study something like marital law there's such a thing like marriage if it is nadina na mambo ya divorce I don't have to go through like 5 years of degree because already our masters of nini can even like come up with a simple nini like a crash course where you can study the basics of law na vitu kadhaa hivi like 1 year and then the second year specializing the third year ushamaliza unaona saizi mazee mimi nilisomea majuu mazee niliona vile unajua wazungu they find the easiest way to do something sisi you find the hardest way to do something na that's unaona like wanakwanga wametuacha na hiyo nini alafu unajua education system yetu switchora na wazungu like 844 was drawn up by some Canadian professor saizi there are some British and American interests trying to
push CBC
they're trying to push something into the system but the idea is just to cause as much confusion as possible because it can't be so hard to come up with a curriculum for kids yani hizi kuwa ngumu hivyo mazee like tunashinda tukinini hizi kuwa ngumu like it can't be so difficult run a university bana like that's like the most basic thing but that confusion it's put there to be deliberate so don't after CBC kidogo after 10 years or sijui tufanye nini you know but the idea is not to find a solution the idea is just to be in that permanent state of just
confusion
kulikuwa na art and craft and music kitambo wakaitoa for no reason tena wameanza kurudisha juu through CBC after a while so kila zone like subjects zimekuwa reduced sijui watoto wasifanye so that's the unfortunate thing about our education system
it's really sad and but I feel like each generation yetu having seen what we've seen having seen even like if we come to creative arts we've seen the Njugushes of this world and the Terence Creatives and the Crazy Kenas and we've seen how they've been able to turn that into a career and be millionaires we should be more open-minded for our kids career paths than our parents were.
I think we are already because I have an uncle who's very strict. The other day ananiambia amebaya mtoto wake guitar and in another life, first of all, like someone like me, that one could never happen, you know. So parents at least were relaxed. I love the good thing about parenting ya saizi is that your kids will do whatever they please. They don't have to rely on you. That's not wale watoi wako kutoana piga mapicha weekend. Like I enjoy when I sing those people. If you can do that and you become a star on TikTok, it's good with me, you know. So I think right now to millennials will be, I can't say like they are better parents, but at least we are flexible and we understand. We'll give our children more leverage. Like I'm constantly observing like what could be my daughter's interest and what are the ways that I can empower her. If she wants to be a singer and I feel like she has a talent, then you can support her through that. And you feel like she doesn't have the talent, she thinks she wants to be a singer because she's a superstar, then you can still have that conversation with her in a sober way. The idea si kama ile example ulikuwa unapata unatusiwa that you can never be anything, you know. So
mjinga kama mako.
When mjinga kama mako, you know, like it shouldn't be like that.
But the funny thing is tukidigress kidogo hiyo story ati wewe ni mjinga kama mako, I hear it actually has some truth in it, that apparently kids borrow more from their parents intelligence wise than their dads.
From their mother?
Yeah, apparently. like I think there was a scientific
it's a
study
biological
about
function that intelligence comes from the mother,
yeah
and like it's a function, like it comes from that lineage. And it's quite evident. I remember there's something that Ted Malanda wrote at went to a burial of a certain professor huku kwao. Alafu kwa hiyo nyumba akaangalia kila mtu mazeni mlevi, yani hakuna mtu anakaa amesoma. Ndio Ted akasema yenyewe nakaa mama, kuna venye mama alicheza. Yeah, but you see that statement had a lot of chauvinism in it. And those are some of the blunders and mistakes that our fathers did. A child is a precious thing. And a child, not all of them will be gifted. Not all of them will be talented. Not all of them will be intelligent. But a human life deserves dignity. And kukiona mtoto ajiezi mazee, kuanzia mtu anaendesha boda hapa mpaka mama mboga, all those people are playing a role in our lives. And that's why we should learn to see the humanity of each other. So it doesn't mean that if you're intelligent, kila mtu huku chini ni mjinga. Because I've seen guys, I've seen like I have an uncle, maze kwa class akwa anajieza. But that guy maze kuna vile amejipanga hapa nje. So we only think of intelligence in terms of like people are book smart. But ukiangalia maze kuna msee unapatanga tu kwenda shule, lakini maze is a very good mechanic, is a very good welder, is a good businessman, you know. So we have to get all sort of that notion like kufikiria like masomo pekee like lazima ziende usome mpaka ufanye degree ndio sasa ukwe mtu intelligent. Doesn't work that way.
Yes, ndio kama hata nini afu pia mfikiria guy sometimes it's because what we learn in school is never brought close to home. Because ask yourself this, even the most illiterate person never messes up when it comes to money. You should notice like when it comes to money
they're even smarter than nini.
So unashindwa this person when they're in school they could never master algebra. Sindio?
Kabisa.
But right now if you tell them go buy 3 eggs and 1 bread na nimekupatia 100 shillings watarudi na the right change. Kabisa. That's algebra.
No, mimi nakwambia like ukiangalia watu kama for example the matatu sector, ukiangalia watu wa Iran ni wasemi bi hata unajua for the longest time in Kenya we assume that intelligence ndio unapita high school. And that's a very limiting way. Ni kama tu kusema tumabuda wetu ama wale wazae like the African philosophers didn't know anything because you are kuandika nini. Mazo sasa unakaa na mzee huko nyumbani unaongea naye and you can see they have that native wisdom, they have that native intelligence. My grandmother was extremely literate. She didn't even step in class. She couldn't say a word in Swahili. Or she only spoke mother tongue. But that one was okay. You can see the kind of native wisdom that she possessed. So that's when I say like the right kind of investment you can do ni kuangalia tu mtoto wako akona ability gani and you invest in those abilities incrementally. Of course after ashapata ma basics.
Alafu now as an author, do you see any problem in insha and composition? Because I felt like it was so one dimensional. Tuko tunaambia ukianzisha sentensi shona ile skit ya nani ya Crazy Kena. Wanini wenye misuli tingi si nini nani nini niliamuka tu yani ilikuwa
that's what I was telling you that shida tuko nao kubwa with the education system. It is that rigidity, and this rigidity by they came from the British and Christianity. And because the British are boring people, like there's nothing exciting. Hata maybe ni Premier League pekee unapatanga inato excite now. And I think but kuna hiyo nini like life to them is like one dimensional, very strict and all that. And that's what has been running our education system. And I gave you an example, like when you go to America, you look at the kind of books kids are reading, the kind of movies that people are watching, you know, because what encourages creativity is the kind of exposure you get as a child. Kama mtu yako amegrow akiochizi Harry Potter ama umekuwa ukimwambia stories za Gor Mahia ama stories za Luanda Magere, you know, you are empowering their brain, you know, you are empowering them to think and like that power of imagination. But when you have an education system that is one dimensional like this way, even like the thinking, the creativity now is supposed to be one day. That's when top Kenyan time we have a problem. We are going to ban this. We are going to form a commission of inquiry. We are going to like we always have like a one set of way of doing things. No. So that's what like hata kwa uandishi kama za compose. There are so many creative people out here, man. my uncles bana, they are funny, like they are funny than even the Chris Rocks, like ukionga now, like an encounter nend kunywa chai, it's a whole comedy session.
Yeah.
And I've stolen the ideas and I've planted them in my stories and people have laughed. Nikisema, you see, but see, those uncles, they don't know that they had talent, because them is just natural to be funny. But we never explore at any atujafiki hiyo level, like you can explore mpaka we digress that far.
Yeah.
So our education, mi nasema bado like I insist on in ya Christianity hiyo
seed
nini na to limit sana, like hiyo yani ya kufanya vitu in a very rigid way, you know. So we should have like institutions that have their Christianity nini, but when you go to the class kunafaa kuwa na hiyo secular approach, so that now, because now it limits your thinking, you know. I don't know which is the best way, because I'm a Christian, but I understand how Christianity can be very limiting, can be a limiting force for someone's intellectual growth. So it's better to learn and explore out here, and then you find your way back than to start now back to kwa hiyo channel tu moja hivyo. Yeah.
Kusada vile umebonga jua, like your uncle being talented, I mean, it reminds like one of the women that I've been mentioning lately of being very funny ni Auntie Aflaco. Have you seen that woman?
What?
Auntie Aflaco. Flaco the comedian.
I know Flaco.
Yeah, his aunt somehow is a TikTok superstar. I never knew about her till I saw a rant where she was ranting about Flaco and the way Flaco has not helped her side of the family, because she's like Flaco's grandfather had 2 wives. So any from there, like the younger wife. So Flaco as Mama Otis does her voice, and he does it perfectly. Like saizi mother akibonga no umefacesha phone hivi, you'll think it's Flaco. The minute you turn the phone, you see it's her, and she's funny when she decides to be funny.
I haven't caught up. They're acting ama she's
no she's has her own TikTok channel inaitwa Nyakuarjaneko means the grandkid of the crazy man. Yeah.
And I wanted to know, like, when she's calling out on Flaco, is she acting ama?
No, it was real life. Like people, I think she went on the internet and maybe she had some financial problem and she asked people maybe vile nawachekesha hivi simnitumie kitu, then someone akamwambia siulize Flaco. Yeah, so it's hilarious.
I love to look it up.
So sauti yake.
I haven't seen much of Flaco. I watched him a lot during the pandemic.
He's still very active, still doing really good numbers on YouTube. So Flaco is still Flaco. And
the kid is very talented.
And with his situation, I also understand. As a family, you can't help everyone. At some point, the black tax can be too much.
I talk a lot about it in the books.
Black tax ends up too much. But yes, I feel like there's a whole generation of people. Because even me, when I look at my family, both extended family, my mother and father's side, I think I'm the only person who's involved in arts, radio, one.
Yeah.
Everyone else is very straight. Doctor, lawyer, teacher. Like everyone walitafuta hizo careers. I love the ones who could not get those careers are now doing the other usual jobs, carpenter, mechanic, driver. But hakuna hiyo, like the art side is looked at like I'm the only person with dreadlocks. Na hizi ni families kubwa, like ile tukimit hivi you'll have like 300 people. I'm the only person out of us so tatu walikuwa na dread.
Yeah.
So it's
and I know in a sense like there's no problem with the way they look at life, but such they need to be open-minded enough to know like there are other opportunities out there. My cousin Nyakundi Saboke is my cousin, and I don't know if you know him.
Nyakundi Saboke, the actor.
Yeah.
Si shaka hapa.
He's my first cousin.
Yeah, okay.
I know the kid after high school tu aliamua were like, oh, should go to college nini, akasema pana. My passion is in movies.
Yeah.
And you can see what 10 years of consistency I think he's now produced like 2 movies. He's appeared in a couple of them and all that, and you can see his star will keep on growing. So imagine mazesa angetusikiza gender some sg nursing. He'll be hosting somewhere, you know. It's so we need to be open minded to let people be. The only thing is just to ensure that there are enough checks ndio mtu unajua pia inaweza shida vitu kama za usanii zinakuanga na delusion, like mtu anaweza kuwa delusional kidogo. So it's just to give them that space is to give them that space ya kujaribu, mkiona ijanini then mnamwambia hapana, hapa sasa imeshindikana. Kuna swali kwanga tu ama musician lakini haikuwork, now they have to go back to work, you know. The idea is to let people try. And like I had another uncle Mazaki was 17, Mazi built a very big fish pond. Like huku Kisii Mazi, like hata saizi like the very idea like nakanga mpaka napiga hesabu nikisema my uncle Alois is born 78 and in 1996 he built a very big fish pond and he built a second one. But imagine if he was encouraged there, because it's the idea of building, it's not the fish pond itself, but the idea that you can build a fish pond. Imagine such kind of talent, you nurture it. Maybe right now he'll be like very big in supplying fish to Kuchini.
Because Konasema, when he was, that's in 96?
He's born 78.
He did that when he was 18, no? He did, when did
he did that is like 17, 18.
Yeah. So, Nasema, that's close to 30 years ago.
It's
like
almost 25 years ago.
Yeah. That 11 angekuwa by size.
Kama angekuwa encouraged now even in your line ya farming nini you can see. So mimi naonanga like wasengo na kwanga hizo matalent alafu zinakwanga tu wasted tu hivyo, you know. So mtu kama mimi like imagine I wanted really to write but you know kuna hizo discouragement, writing haina pesa nini. I would also be another guy just writing on Facebook and not commercializing my stuff. But that thing they make you can feed, like writing now is feeding me, you know.
How did you find yourself in America? Because najuaga like most, I expect most scholarships and what to be STEM ama sport based. So did you go through a scholarship, self-sponsored?
I was actually on Joseph Pulitzer Awards. Yeah, I was on a scholarship ya journalism. And for me it was I had a colleague and she left and I was just chatting and come, hey Joanna aje bana, uliendaje maza America umeniacha hapa juzi? And how did I say? Akaniambia hapana, just apply. And I applied and I got uzuri ya majuu tu ni merit. Kunanga jia uncle yako akuja ama mtu akuja angalia sana miaka asema Omolo hapana, huku tu ni merit kabisa. Yeah, a number of Kenyans, Alari Mado was there. The New York Times East African correspondent, Latif was my classmate there. Yeah, there have been a couple of people who have been there at Columbia.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
There should be almost 20 Kenyan alumni.
Yeah, because even let me take this opportunity to shout out a friend of the show. He's also a comedian in Japan. It was Evans Msoka. Evans Msoka came here and told people that, you know what, you could apply for a scholarship in Japan, do 1, 2, 3 things. There's an Iko Nini fan who's going to Japan this month, on the 20th of this month. Acha to see Jinx, but hiyo ni juu Evans Msoka, and when I hear that I'm so happy.
Those opportunities are there, they're endless. Shida wa Kenya ni ile, they're so boring to apply, kuandika hizo ma essays, juu ufanye ma IELTS, ufanye manini. So watu wengi wanangi your patience. But the scholarships, kuna Chevening, kuna DAD ya German, Chevening ya UK, ziko mob sana. But some people don't want to sit and apply for those things.
And these things could, they could change your life. So Columbia University, does it also have like an acting wing?
Is there a Columbia Film School? I'm not so sure, because in journalism we had, of course, training film and all that. It should be, if not within the main university, it should be within the journalism, the graduate in journalism school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How long? Course yako ilikuwa how long?
Yeah, 1 year.
Oh, ilikuwa 1 year.
10 months.
10 months. Okay. So ulienda tu na ukarudi, au kutry kuosha vyombo States?
No. Columbia is an Ivy League university. It means like it's actually the second or third best in America. And I had a work permit to work, but I had a family, so I had to come back to my family. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Au nini? There's another guest I also had here. Naitwa Eve. His name is Eve, but it's written YVES. And he was talking about how your family will keep you down. You'll never take some opportunities because of your family. So you didn't feel like...
No, it depends on where you are at life. there's a time you really need that family. If you're starting, for example, you're a young person and you really want it to stand, it's worth the sacrifice,
Yeah.
Because you can still remain in America. You make so much money, and at the end of the day,
Yeah.
so I had to try and come back. And for me at that moment, that was like the right
move.
Decision to make, because I had there's something they call optional practical training, ni kama internship.
Yeah.
So ukimaliza you can I would have worked there for like another 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, but I always want to be here in Kenya.
Yeah, okay. Nini family, so right now you are settled, married, ama?
That one didn't work out very well. It was a relationship I was trying to build pole pole.
Yeah.
It didn't work out very well, but at least kuna mtoi hapo.
Yeah.
Na mchunga tu pole pole.
Oh, mtoi ni daughter?
Ni daughter, yeah.
How old?
8 years now.
Oh, just like kama mimi. So being a dad daughter, how has it been? Because for me, mine just takes advantage of me, and there's nothing I can do about it. Like, I've just been resigned to my fate of kujua all favors.
There's nothing. Kids are very sweet, and of course my daughter is extremely very adorable.
Yeah.
And now that she's old, actually, it's someone I like being around with.
Yeah.
Someone you can have a conversation, and she's very empathetic.
Yeah.
She's very like, siku hizi tunapiganga so naambia dad mimi nimechoka, acha nene nilale. Like tushafikia level sasa tusumbuani. Dad, we normally have our own game tunacheza hapo game ya cards. I'm not very good at it, she's not good at it, but we have like our own version tunachezanga tu hapo hivyo nini.
Okay.
We go out and play. So she's an adorable girl. But you see, the thing with the girls is that anasema girls break hearts, boy break things.
Yeah.
Like in this house, your daughter atakusumbalinga kijana angekuwa shapasua simu ashafanya nini. But girls break hearts because if you don't do a good job as a man, as a father, definitely she'll break your heart.
Yeah.
And that's why that now it's a permanent job you have.
Yeah.
To ensure that she doesn't mess up things.
Yeah.
And if she messes up, at least you can extend her grace ya kujua like makosa ufanyika. So let's correct this. Yeah. So that's the beauty about. Alafu najua that's the good thing about and I know men might disagree with me, but unfortunately it's daughters who take care of their fathers. Mazee kitu mazee ni at breaking bana mazee vijana wanangaja na mabuda zao.
Yeah, but I feel pia kwa generation yetu and the generation before it made sense because fathers were they were just disciplinarians.
Yeah.
But so as they were disciplinarians, you'll find maybe the daughter won't take it as hard as a man, because me as a man, if you the only thing I know maybe from you is violence, even become an adult, I'll always remember how you maybe used to beat me, because kuna mavijana walikuwa nachapwa na mabuda zao kabisa.
Baya sana bana.
Because me wambeka tu mi uzuri buda hakuwa indi chapa. Buda alikuwaga like violence was never his means of communication. Yeah. But then still talking of women and tukiendelea na the same, but to go back to writing, there was this whole debate that started I don't know if it's a few weeks ago whatever. I learned it from you. Ilikuwa jia there's this writer kwa Nation newspaper, and you also said he's a professor. It's called
Professor
Idangasi.
He was my professor.
Yeah, Idangasi wrote an article about Mishere Mugo. Is that how the name is?
Yeah, it's Mishere Mugo. Yeah.
Yes, Mishere Mugo. And it brought a whole debate because people are like, respect the dead. So if you respect the dead, it means we should only, I think that means just write the positive things about them. But because of you, vile nasemanga mfuatilia nini yako, I had to go and check out the whole thing, and I felt like it was okay. He argued his points well.
So, yeah, it's
unzapatia watu like people who don't know the story, like a few.
So
tell them
basically,
what.
Ndangas is now a retired professor at the University of Nairobi.
Yeah.
He should be a contemporary, more or less the same age in Mishere Mugo. And Mishere was slightly older than him.
Yeah.
So Mishere na Ngugi wa Thiong'o ndio walianzishanga hiyo department ya literature University of Nairobi, which used to be big back in the day.
Yeah, okay.
And wao ndio walifanya tutoke, unajua back then the only insist lazima ufunze Shakespeare nini. So Ngugi wa Thiong'o na Mishere and a few other people ndio walisema pana, will africanize this department tuanze kufunza African literature. And then back in the 70s kulikuwa ni story ya Cold War, and Kenya tulikuwa sisi ni mastujua America the West, but a few scholars walikuwa communist ama Marxist, they were following the communism in whatever. So back then that one could not be tolerated, because during the Cold War America wanted it to be on their side. They couldn't entertain intellectuals when you had a different opinion. So Michelle, of course, in the early 80s, she was an outspoken critic of Moi, and then she left for Zimbabwe, where she taught for quite some time, and then she ended up in America, And Indangasi gave his version of the story, how he knows it, and he was trying to allude Michelle had an affair with Mugabe, and that's how she ended up in... and he was actually trashing Michelle, saying that, Michelle, ni sister Njeru Githai.
Yeah. Okay.
She comes from like wale ma privileged Kikuyus wale, like because she was privileged, there's no way sijui Moi angemfukuza nini, which was bullshit to me, because Michelle was an outspoken critic
of the Moi regime.
Whether she left for Zimbabwe because of Mugabe or not, there's no way angesurvive in the 80s. In the 80s maze watu walikuwa wanarushwa jela kiovyo, like olela tu, like ukishikwa hata sijui kuna soma sijui the red book ya Karl Marx, usharushwa ndani, unaona. So the reason tulibweka na hiyo story, alikuwa anasema Michelle hakuwa deep thinker. So I was expecting akuja aseme ikitabalandika na Gugwa Thiong'o, sipoa aseme like labda whatever ideas, like Michelle was big on the Ubuntu idea. That was like, even I think her latest book or something was big on that idea, like she was spreading that spirit of Ubuntu. So kitu ilitubo na hiyo story, alianza kuataki Michelle. She got divorced, she had depression. Unajua kuna zile vitu mazele hata ile basic decency.
Hiyo depression iliona
haikuwa allow, like unaona
unafaa kupatiwa 6 months, but she took more than 6 months. I saw that 6 months.
Alafu unajua depression set ni kitu unaweza amua tu upone. Alafu akaanza kusema sijui alikuwa na hang out na vijana kwa nyumba yake.
You part sikuyana hiyo.
And ilikuwa huko alikuwa anasema nao. See, the thing is, back then now, this is like 40 years ago, almost 43 years ago, Michelle probably she's in her late 30s. Even me, I'm a teacher, I teach. Sometimes hang out with my students. As long as I'm not doing anything that is leisure or untoward, hakuna kitu baya. Like the essence of university education is you have like your students are like you are mentoring them. So you can come to those, and you see back then it was very fashionable to argue about Karl Marx, because you mambo ya communism, neocolonialism, nini. So all those accusations, she was hanging out with watoto, she eloped with Mugabe. So ukiangalia hapo unajua hajatuambia mbona anasema she's not a deep thinker. Now when you flip the coin, me have met Michelle. Anamba alikujanga campus story nyingine ya kwani hiyo time ya kwani kina Binyavanga. Tukaongea naye, asked her like, "Can't to be the next Gugwa Thiong'o?" Akanambia pana like stop deifying people. Wakukujue. Just be you, just write like you, just tukiongea naye mazi, she's a gracious, classy, beautiful, elegant woman.
Because I think even your post yako ya Michelle was in 2016, I think you'd written about her.
Yeah, like she came, I was teaching at the Tigara University, and man, when she came and you listen to her talk, she was an event, there's something in oral literature nasemanga orature. A combination of oral literature and literature now. Oral, like when the spoken word, like now you're a rapper and you're a spoken word artist. So Michelle is the one like who came up with that idea that poetry can be beautiful and we can Africanize it. And if you read her poetry, bana zinakwanga deep. So there's a lot that you can criticize about Michelle. She's accused about being tribalism, being xenophobic, kwa anataka those Ugandan exiles. Wanasemanga ile kitabu ya John Ruganda, Chest of Tenderness. It alludes to her and all that. Now, if you are to discuss towards that direction, then now we can unpack to seme on this regard. Hakuwa mtu mpoa manini. But sasa, like sasa, if you start attacking me on my relationships, you start attacking me on my personal life, sijui I'm a drunkard, nini. You see now that una lower scholarship to nini. But una kitu na drive in Ndangasi. Ndangasi is a brilliant guy. Like when I rank my teachers, is like among the best ever. I took 2 of his classes, and I'll still take those classes. And Indangas, he studied in America. And the problem after he studied America, he admired the West so much. To him, there's nothing wrong the imperialist can do. Unaona? So yeye idea yake ya literature anataka tu andike story yenye ina politics. And I was arguing that Ngugi wa Thiong'o was born in Limuru bana, mababeru wamechukua shamba yenu. How can you not write about that? When Mjaluo Mazeluos are being clobbered every day, I wrote a certain essay in The Elephant, kwa sema low lives matter. That was in 2017, Nilikuwa nakati vile Majaluo wamekuwa kitu kichapua kidharauliwa nini. I was like, there's no way this can be the normal. Like, I saw even Jerome Ogola wrote on Facebook, like, when the Kianjokamas G brothers, those 2 kids were killed, the amount of noise that was generated is not the same amount of noise that's generated when 57 those are killed in Kisumu, you know. So to Indangasi, if you're a Luo, bado fai kuandika kuhusu hizo vitu. So naona sasa ndo matukona. Alafu sasa kitu kingine watu wajui is and this is an accusation to Indangasi, like anakuanga envious because his contemporaries achieved far. Like Michere Mazo, you can list the amount of work she's done. Indangasi ameandika maybe kitabu moja ama mbili which nobody knows about. There's no idea that unaweza sema hii ni idea ya Indangasi. He talks about universalism, whatever nini, like literature inafaa kuwa universal. Anakumbuka alikuwa anatuambia like if you want to write something that will outlive yourself, literature for example, ukiandika stories za Ukedi, da Ukedi kipatikana ati kitabu sasa itakuwa irrelevant. So does that mean that usiandike kitabu because Ukedi is a reality? So Indangasi alisoma majuu, and his contemporaries were like someone like Professor, there's someone called Edward Said. He's a Palestinian scholar. Said Mazen invented theory inaitwa post-colonialism. Akakuja na vitu za orientalism. Like those guys did big things. And if Indangasi was abroad, he had the ability to do big things, even as a critic. But sasa he never did those things. So yakaja kitu ni kungoja tu mtu akufe.
Okay. I think then basi mimi may understand, because unajua you, that's the reason I was asking you is as an author, of course you know more about this, and also as someone who's in that literature world, because me, so the only thing that I saw that I found interesting was vile kwa nasema that he met Michere at Syracuse University, and she was identifying as Zimbabwean. So I was like, oh, okay, if she was this, then but now the way you've broken it down, because I understand, like sometimes
the idea alikuwa anajaribu kupush ni ile like Michere was never kicked out by Moi. And the reason I was opposed to that idea, whether factual or not, when you're trying to get an asylum, you are running away from your country. Initially maze, sometimes people use very creative ways to get asylum. And if she got that asylum and she stopped being a critic, then utaelewa. But Michere alibaki critic through and through. And she spoke openly about what being, unajua hapa Kenya maze kama ni tajiri, do you have hata unakuanga naneja kupingana na serikali? Hakuna Michere from a family should have lived a very comfortable life. At time unajua vile alikuwa sema the brother, I don't know, was like the brother-in-law, I don't know, was the chief of staff time ya Moi, Kereini. The sister was around the chief nurse. I have never heard of that position, but apparently it was a very consequential post back in the day. But she chose to go to exile, and she chose to go and live abroad. When you're born with privilege, being a rich Kenyan bana or a rich African bana, you only want to go there for all day bana. So Michere was an intellectual through and through. And there's a lot that we can discuss about intellectual stuff unpack it and debate. Unajua kuna venye wala sapra wamesoma when they went to power, like na Kuigwa Mwere, Wangari wa Maathai walinyamaza, we can talk about that.
Okay.
Alafu najua before nisahau, Indangasi is an expert in Russian literature. In the 80s and 90s you could never teach Russian literature because of communism and all that. So Indangasi alianza kufunza something called stylistics. Stylistics ni unit ya literature sasa yenye naongea about how to write well, like how to apply zile vitu wasamanga zile metaphor manini, like how do you handle, like how do you write with style. So that became his area, and he still would have been a big guy in stylistics. But he chose not to. so saizi maybe ndio imemwit like time is running out and he never had any big idea to represent because he attacked Achebe when Achebe died. Amazon unaweza sema like Achebe is not the greatest African aliandika, you can go read it, aliandika nini like Achebe was not the greatest writer, but
so he likes dancing on graves.
He likes I think I even attacked Wangari Maathai when Wangari died. When everyone talking about Wangari Maathai's activism, is there focusing on her divorce. Come on, man. You know?
Divorces happen.
So it's constantly like of course you can examine a person's life, but at least give them credit where it's due. Alafu hiyo timing inakwanga tu off kabisa. So sisi tumemwambia basi andika shit yote konao kuhusu Ngugi, andika tu basi about Oleshainka ndio tukujindo wakujibu kama watataka kujibu.
Singoje mtu akufe alafu ndio anze hizo. Okay. So Silas mimi nimeenjoy kabisa. Alafu vile nimesema mufotaga Silas on Facebook. Kuna comedian fulani hapa Kenya anaitwa Halaiki. Ashai joke juu yangu akaniambia that Mwafrika is Facebook famous. That's another word of calling someone old. So since uko active Facebook inamaanisha they are saying you're also old.
I'm very old, but
so there are 4 books you can buy. The newest one is 50 Memos of Men. This is launching on Saturday.
On Saturday, August 5th. Apata Cafe Deli pale Koinange Street. Hapo Rubisi Koinange Street.
Okay. Men Koinange Street. Okay. So then before that kulikuwa na volume 1.
Volume 1 pia to launch in 2021. Yeah, so the memos nimeandika zimefika kama 200. So I break them into 50-50. So I'll be releasing hizo volume 3 and 4 much later.
Okay. So hii the latest one I think hata uiweke tu hapo katikati ya books zangu. That's my the new book in my collection. So umesema hizi mpya ni 14
kila kitabu 1400.
1400 shillings. Na watu tuseme mtu iko diaspora.
Watu diaspora, what normally happens, Kenyans travel a lot nowadays. Sending by post is very expensive. Hata uzijua kaitafika. But normally, any given month, there's a Kenyan going to Europe, there's a Kenyan going to
the US.
To the USA. So wanalipa, and then tuna arrange. I know people who are traveling, ama kama unajua mtu mana travel. I've shipped more than 1,000 books to America that way. Mtu anasema I'm carrying, I have niko na mziga hapa, it can still accommodate maybe some 5 books. So nawapea wanaenda nazo.
Okay. But nita nini yake ya Facebook hapa muione the page the way it looks. Just search for him, you can inbox him, sindio? Muongee alafu mbaki mecheki how that will happen. Buda, asante sana.
Thanks, man.
Alafu pia asante sana for I think you did the review of was it the major interview? There's something I think you wrote about Iko Nini. I don't remember.
Ilikuwa nini ya Bob Mapesa?
Ilikuwa Bob Mapesa.
Ndio niliwatch yote because mimi nakwanga fan wake sana. And I always wanted to know his story, and I'm glad you brought it up.
So he lost his mom majuzi, rest in peace to his mom. So hata saizi niko kwa group fulani ile tunafanya fundraising. If anyone wants to join the group, you can let me know. So his mom is getting buried next week. He lost his mom. So she died, and but it was such a powerful story. It's one of those stories where everyone, like a lot of people who had like abusive fathers, like they really related to that, and also the fact that our mothers looked away for the few people who went through that.
But anyone growing up in, let me say, like the lower middle class, ama hizi Makibera, Manini, Madandora, in the 80s and 90s, that was like typical of many families. A drunk father, abusive father, women left take care of the family, you know. And like right now when I see women wakibweka nasi wakituacha naelewa, like their mothers have told them maze you don't have to stick around if it's not working. Your part naelewa
usibaki umenini hizo whatever. So mi nimeshukuru sana. Alafu pia kuna kitu moja nilikuwa nimeandika hapa, kuna story pia interesting sana ulipatiana, ati kuna time ulimeenda Ocha alafu they were trying to set you up with some girl na kienyeji fulani.
Sinajua when you are an old man like me and you're not married, watu wanza kuwa very suspicious, like kwani kuna kashida nini? So they're always spilling those tricks za kukuka up. So unaendanga tu kuocha kuna kademka kudedicated, so uko zile kama una rada unadhani like she's your cousin. It happened by this. So nimeenda tu kuocha mimi wazee alikuwa dempo kabisa, like ako na hiyo you know that female energy, amekuongezea food, amejaza like kule vizuri nini. Mazile saa anatoka mazindi auntie ananiuliza naje mazile kuna venye bana. So I'm like ule si mtoto anani, akaniambia hapana. So ndo naanza kushikanisha kumbe ilikuwa nikauka hapo alikuwa na nini. But now some is believing mauka hapo ndio shida, because I believe like you have to meet someone and get to know them and see if you can vibe. But hiyo ni trick watu hufanyiwa sana. Hata wasichana by the way unapatangu umetumiwa kibuda fulani kinakuja tu kusalimia kumbe ni
wameangalia age wakasema juu ya age
they really get worried. But also unajua awelewi that the world has changed. Marriage is not what it used to be, but we're trying to reinvent and find how it can work.
Marriage has changed a lot because of the empowered woman.
The changing dynamics. Hata saizi women wanaita Gen Z walikuwa nauliza their priorities in life mazee. A man comes at number 7. In our generation a man comes at number 4. It's education, career and what. And then a man comes number 4. Saizi madem Gen Z a man comes at number 7. So wanaume lazima tufikirie vile tuta survive.
Alafu I think for the few people with sons lazima wajue our daughters are going to be even more complex for your sons, because now
they are going to be more complex. But najua what has happened now from our generation onwards, when a man really, unajua kitambo we are defined by family and they will provide. When that is not there, men are now unplugging or they are disengaging from that. But now men have to find other big reasons to live for in life. So inamaanisha like kama una familia you can still be a functional citizen. So that's what we can teach our sons.
Because we don't want to go the Japanese way. We are now depopulation, because depopulation pia itatusaidia. I'm a very old
that is likely that's the projection of any society. Umaskini pekee ndio unajua Afrika sawa tuko kwa hiyo technology mazeko imemove sana. Watu wamesoma but poverty sana ndio shida. But once you become a rich society, inevitably that's where we end.
Because you get, the more educated you are, the less kids you're likely to have.
You're likely to have.
And even the more wealthy you are, the less kids. There's always like a 1 or 2 situations where you find a wealthy person with a lot of kids, but mostly unapataga if you're wealthy and educated, less and less kids. Although Elon Musk anasema watu wanafaa ku have more kids.
Since hizi ndio wazungu unajua sasa kitu inawasumbua, washashuka below what we call is it replacement level. Replacement, it means the people are dying are more than people are being born. So kwa wazungu imeanza kuaffect, and now they're afraid like kama majua anajua like in the next 10 or so, by 2040 Latinas watakuwa wengi. So kunio kupanic like maybe atakaliwa nini, and that's why they're talking about it as a replace. That's not hata juu majusi unaona America juzi imebana abortion. What people didn't understand about the whole game there.
Because the white
population imeshrink kidogo, so you'll be seeing those kind of funny laws, but hiyo ship ishatoka. So kitamwanza convince na mademu arudi aanze kuzaa ni kazi ngumu, unless you just make children in the lab.
It's going to be tricky. So pia naenda kuweka hiyo like your Facebook page kwa the description. So back you may reach out. Let's buy Kenyan books. Let's support Kenyan writers. Ndio stories zetu isifike time nyingine tunaanza kuargue kama jua the vile hiyo semekanaga black history is oral. So there's a lot of stuff that we black people did that was never recorded anywhere. Sindio? So imekuwa ni episode 201. Kama kawaida, like, subscribe, hit the notification button, tell a friend to tell a friend. Na usisahau pia kuna that super thanks button. Mzabaki umetuthank ka show imekubamba. Tukimalizia ni 201 tukisema Iko Nini.
Iko Nini.